Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of Video Clips, which is brought to you by Wellness Forum Health, the Wellness Forum Institute, and Make Americans Free Again. So, just a couple of announcements. We have two big things coming up that I think you might be interested in. One is next week, September 8th and 9th. It's a Monday, Tuesday. We're going to talk about the title of the workshop is Care and Feeding of the Brain, the Mouth, the Sinuses, the Esophagus, the Stomach. We're going to start with the brain and work our way down to the toes and talk about how to maintain the body's organs and systems so that you can live a long, wonderful life and hopefully die with all of your body parts intact. Okay, so that is, I already have like 300 slides, which is why we had to split it into 2 nights, and I'm not finished creating yet. So you'll learn a boatload of stuff. And then the following week starts our 6-week boot camp. We're doing this to help people establish the habit of paying attention to health every day. So Monday's yoga, Tuesday's a virtual workout, Wednesday is cooking class with recipes. And we'll send you the recipes and ingredients in advance. So if you want to cook with the class or with the video, because we'll record the stuff too. And then Thursday is lectures. So you're going to get, for just $195, you're going to get, if you're a member, and it's a little more expensive if non-member, but you're going to get 6 yoga classes, 6 workouts, 6 lectures, and 6 cooking classes with recipes. That's a huge value, and you'll be able to watch the recording if you can't join us live for the classes. So if you want information on that, send me an email at pampopper@wellnessforum.com. I'll send you the details. Lots of great information. Between these two, you will know a boatload of stuff, probably more than most of your doctors and healthcare professionals who you visit with from time to time. All right, one big item to share today. So many times I come to you and I tell you about the disasters that are going on with federal agencies and healthcare organizations and that sort of thing. So once in a while, it's just like a breath of fresh air to be able to share some good news with you. So one of our many cases against EcoHealth and Peter Daszak and Ralph Barrick and a lot of the other people and entities involved in making SARS-CoV-2 is currently in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. 2 amicus briefs were filed with the court. If you're not familiar with the term, this means friends of the court. These are filed by outsiders, not solicited by us, and filed directly with the court. So we have nothing to do with it. It's total third-party commentary, all right? One of the amicus briefs was written by Mark Lipschitz, who is professor at Harvard School of Public Health, and Philippa Lenzos, who, in addition to her scientific credentials, which are significant, she chairs a committee at the World Health Organization. And you might think, well, how could this be good news? Because you guys have heard me talk about the WHO. Well, the perception of people, many people, including judges and courts, is that the World Health Organization is due some respect, and this woman chairs a committee there. Well, the amicus, short version of the story, it supports our case, stating that ours is one of the first addressing the issue of whether or not gain-of-function research should be permitted and under what types of circumstances it should be undertaken. The authors express concern about lack of oversight. They write, quote, "Courts therefore have an important role to play in providing guardrails on scientific research through the incremental development of the common law, and crafting thoughtful precedent is critical. Amos, meaning them, the hope that this brief assists the court in doing so here." So this is a brief in support of our case. The authors go on to write that lab accidents during pathogen research are more common than the court might expect. They state that between 1979 and 2015, there were over 2,300 lab-acquired infections, 300 in modern laboratories, and 8 deaths. They state that it is almost inevitable that this number will increase, which is, by the way, one of the reasons we filed these cases, is that in the absence of the courts doing something about it, this will go on. And so it's important, and the AMIS support us in this, that we ask the courts to clarify. And this is done all the time, what can and can't be done, and that sort of thing. Plus, large damage awards often dissuade certain types of behavior, like experimenting with pathogens in insecure labs. All right, so anyway, going back to what they wrote in the amicus brief, quote, "The accidental release of a pandemic potential pathogen can cause extreme and widespread harm. With potential negative consequences of that magnitude, even a low probability of an accidental release presents a significant risk against which potential benefits must be weighed." And of course, one of the arguments that we've made is this has never benefited anybody. In fact, it's the opposite. It's done nothing but wreak havoc on the world. The authors then opine on one of the major issues that we raise in our lawsuits, which is the conducting of research in insecure BSL-2 labs. We have incredible documentation showing that, in fact, I have one email in which Ralph Barrick tells Daszak and the two Chinese researchers if they knew we were going to do this in a BSL-2 lab, they would freak out. They knew what they were doing was wrong. So the authors of the amicus support us in that. Quote, at least some scientific research should be subject to strict liability as an abnormally dangerous activity. For example, there is no way to safely conduct research on novel live SARS-like coronaviruses in a BSL-2 laboratory. Thus, under the governing standard for strict liability for abnormally dangerous activities under New York law, research on novel live SARS-like coronaviruses would involve, quote, a high degree of risk of some harm to the person of others. It is likely that the harm that results from it would be great, potentially a global pandemic causing the deaths of many people around the world. It would be impossible to eliminate the risk inherent in such research by the exercise of reasonable care under BSL-2 conditions. It would be against industry standard practices to conduct such research in a BSL-2 lab, and the activity would therefore be a matter of common usage. A BSL-2 laboratory would be an inappropriate place to carry on the activity, and the dangers of conducting research on novel, live, SARS-like coronaviruses in BSL-2 laboratory would outweigh any potential, quote, value to the community. And this is so important because the people we're suing continue to come back and say that they provide a valuable service. Gosh, I'd like to see it after all these years, because all we found is disaster, including the COVID disaster, right? So they encourage the application of strict liability, which we asked the court to do. And we appreciate very much the third party's support of that. Well, as you might imagine, based on what I told you, the defendants in this case have fought to prevent this amicus brief from becoming part of the court record, which they have a right to do, while we have fought to include it, which we have a right to do. And obviously, we have a strong incentive to do, since it supports so much of the claim that we made in our lawsuit. Last Thursday, the Second Circuit Court ruled in our favor and allowed the brief to become part of the court record. So the bottom line is this was a very, very, very good day for Make Americans Free Again and our lawyers and our plaintiffs, not just in this case, because this will have a ripple effect on the other cases we have filed against the same individuals and entities. A very good day for us and a very bad day for the other side. So, like I said, it's wonderful once in a while to share with you something that's really super going well, that sometimes the good guys win. And last week we had a win, and that was really great. And I wanted to share it with you. So just to tell you a little bit about what's going on with us, we have a total of 6 cases against Mr. Daszak. Since we started suing him, the EcoHealth Alliance shut down. They're closed. And that doesn't mean we can't get damages, and we sued Mr. Daszak personally as well. We also have included as defendants Ralph Barrick, Fauci, and the NIAID, and Collins, and the NIH. So many, many defendants in these cases. And they're super important, not only because we want to get justice for the plaintiffs on whose behalf we're suing, but also for the reasons that are brought up in this amicus brief. For decades now, this stuff has been going on. There have been attempts to modify it. President Obama put a moratorium on it. They promptly went around it. Then it was denied to do this in this country, so they just took it to China. They've done all kinds of workarounds because it's profitable to the people who conduct this research. Well, little by little, we've been cutting them off at the pass, but we have got to have some court decisions that define what is and is not okay. And one of the things that you could do, I just mentioned this a little bit ago here, is you can, through damage awards, disincentivize behavior. So when we are successful, notice I didn't say if, when we are successful in bringing these people to justice on behalf of our very deserved plaintiffs, this will make others who are thinking, gosh, we can get some grants and we'll be able to publish in top journals and all that sort of thing. I want them to think, but on the other hand, we could get sued if something goes wrong, and maybe we just won't do this. That's what I would like to see happen, and I think we can do that. And so this goes to something I said in the beginning of setting up Make Americans Free Again. We have to get justice for people who've been harmed. And then we have to change the way things are done in the future by, in some cases, settling law, because the law is vague in some areas, and in some areas, punishing people so that others who are thinking of doing the same thing might say, I don't know, just maybe it's not such a good plan. All right. Well, if you like what I just told you, please donate. We never have enough money. We're always, I'm always raising money. I know you get tired of my asking you, but please donate. And remember, $5 a month on just automatically charged to your card. Those amounts add up. So don't think you have to have a lot of money to donate. If you have $1 a month to give us, it helps. It really does help. So for all of you who have supported our organization, thank you so much. We couldn't do without you. And great things are starting to happen for us. You just have to be very patient when you're doing this kind of work. This is not for people who have a short fuse and a short attention span, because the long game is the one we're playing here, and we're winning at the long game. You've heard me say litigation's like watching paint dry, and it is. But while the paint has been drying, all kinds of things have happened that are helping us. And so we're really grateful we didn't go to trial sooner, because it's a whole lot better outlook for what's going to happen now. All right, I've talked long enough for today, but I'm super excited about this. So that's one of the reasons why I'm a little chit-chatty more than usual today. All right, as usual, pass this on to anybody who you think might enjoy watching it and learning from me, and I'll be back to you on Tuesday with more news. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you once again for your support.